I thought picking up my son from kindergarten would be the most normal part of my day until his teacher handed me a car seat with a sleeping toddler inside and said my husband had left it for me. The weight of that car seat in my hands felt wrong. Everything about that moment felt wrong. Mrs. Hendrick, who'd been teaching for 20 years and had seen everything, looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Behind her, parents were loading their kids into minivans and SUVs, completely unaware that my entire world was tilting off its axis right there in the Willow Creek Elementary pickup line. The note taped to the handle was in Colton's handwriting. I'd know it anywhere. The same handwriting that left me love notes on the bathroom mirror, the same handwriting that signed our mortgage papers and Maddox's permission slips. But these words made no sense. My friend's kid. 2 days. Emergency. I'm Brianne, and until that Tuesday afternoon, I thought I knew my husband. Colton and I had been married for 10 years. We had a 5-year-old son named Maddox who was obsessed with dinosaurs and soccer. My sister Waverly always joked that I'd hit the marriage jackpot. Successful husband, beautiful home, healthy kid, the kind of life people post on Instagram and actually mean it. But standing there in the school parking lot, holding a stranger's child while my own son tugged at my jacket asking who the baby was, I felt the first crack in the facade I didn't even know existed. The toddler was beautiful. Blonde curls that caught the afternoon sun, cheeks pink with sleep, maybe 3 years old. She was wearing a purple shirt with a unicorn on it and tiny jeans that looked expensive. The car seat itself was high-end, the kind Colton had researched for weeks when Maddox was born because safety ratings mattered more to him than price tags. Mrs. Hendrick was still talking, explaining how Colton had seemed rushed, how he'd assured her I was expecting this, how he'd specifically asked her to wait until the normal pickup time to give it to me. But her words were fading into background noise because I was staring at those little hands, those familiar-looking little hands. When the little girl woke up that night and told me her last name was the same as my husband's, I knew my entire life was about to shatter. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how a random Tuesday in September became the day I discovered my husband's double life, met his secret daughter, and learned that sometimes the people we trust most are the ones capable of the deepest betrayal. This is the story of how a car seat destroyed my marriage and set me free. Life in our suburban Denver home had settled into comfortable predictability. Every weekday at 3:15 p.m., I'd close my laptop, grab my keys from the ceramic bowl Maddox made in art class, and drive the 7 minutes to Willow Creek Elementary. The routine was so ingrained that I could probably do it with my eyes closed. Turn left at the yellow house with the garden gnomes, right at the Starbucks where I sometimes grabbed a latte if I was early, then straight into the familiar chaos of the school pickup line. That Tuesday started like any other. I'd finished a client presentation early, something about rebranding for a local restaurant chain that was trying to appeal to younger customers. The morning had been productive. I'd actually remembered to switch the laundry, answered all my emails, and even had time to make myself a proper lunch instead of eating crackers over the sink like usual. Colton had texted me around noon. "Big day today, closing on the Riverside project. Might be late. Don't wait up." I'd replied with a heart emoji, and "That's fantastic. We should celebrate this weekend." "Absolutely. Love you, Bree," he'd written back. Those 3 words sat on my phone screen now like evidence at a crime scene. How easily they'd come to him. How naturally he could text "love you" while presumably knowing he was about to upend our entire life. Our house was the 3rd one we'd looked at when I was 7 months pregnant with Maddox. Colton had fallen in love with the crown molding and original hardwood floors. I'd loved the kitchen window that looked out onto a backyard big enough for a swing set. We'd put an offer in that same day, stretching our budget because Colton was confident his real estate development business would take off. He'd been right about that, at least. The photos on our walls told the story of a happy family. Our wedding at the Broadmoor, me in my grandmother's pearls, and Colton, looking like he'd won the lottery. Maddox's first birthday, his face covered in chocolate cake. Last summer's trip to San Diego, all 3 of us sunburned and grinning in front of the sea lions at La Jolla Cove. Every image was proof of the life we'd built together, brick by brick, memory by memory. I remember feeling grateful as I drove to school that day. The September air was perfect, that sweet spot between summer heat and autumn chill. The radio was playing that new Taylor Swift song Maddox loved, and I found myself singing along. My sister Waverly had called that morning to complain about her latest dating disaster, some guy who'd showed up to their third date with his mother. We'd laughed until my stomach hurt, and she'd said what she always said, "You got the last good one, Bree. Clone Colton for me, would you?" The school pickup line at Willow Creek Elementary was its own little ecosystem. You had the yoga moms in their matching Lululemon sets, the work-from-home dads on conference calls in their cars, the grandparents who always arrived 30 minutes early to get the good spots. I knew them all by sight, if not by name. There was an unspoken hierarchy to the pickup line, and after 2 years, I'd earned my place in the middle tier. Not aggressive enough to arrive 45 minutes early for a front spot, but organized enough to never be stuck in the overflow lot. Mrs. Hendrick had been Maddox's teacher since August, and he adored her. She had this way of making every kid feel like they were her favorite. Just last week, she'd pulled me aside to tell me how Maddox had shared his snack with a new student who'd forgotten lunch money. "You're raising a kind soul," she'd said, and I'd driven home feeling like maybe I was doing something right in this whole parenting thing. The familiar chaos of dismissal was in full swing when I arrived. Kids erupting from the building like colorful confetti, backpacks bouncing, artwork clutched in sweaty hands, the crossing guard, Mr. Terry, whistling while he directed traffic with the flair of a conductor, the sound of car doors sliding open and parents calling out reminders about soccer practice and piano lessons. I'd parked in my usual area, checking my phone while I waited, an email from a client about moving up a deadline, a text from my mom asking if we were still coming for Sunday dinner, a reminder that Maddox's dentist appointment was next week, the mundane details of a normal life that was about to become anything but normal. Looking back, I wonder if there were signs I'd missed. The Thursday evening client meetings that never resulted in new contracts, the way Colton would sometimes stare at Maddox with an expression I couldn't quite read. The second phone he'd said was for work but always kept face down, the receipt for a toy store in Millbrook I'd found in his jacket pocket months ago, which he'd explained away as a gift for his business partner's kid. But that Tuesday afternoon, sitting in my Honda Pilot with the air conditioning on low and NPR playing softly, I had no idea that my husband had been living a double life. I was just another mom in the pickup line, waiting for my kid, thinking about what to make for dinner, completely unaware that in 3 minutes, Mrs. Hendrick would hand me proof that the man I'd trusted with my whole heart had been keeping the biggest secret imaginable. Mrs. Hendrick approached my car with an expression I'd never seen before, somewhere between confusion and concern. Behind her, another teacher was carrying a car seat with a pink blanket draped over it. My window was already down, the September air carrying the scent of freshly cut grass from the school grounds. Mrs. Brienne. She adjusted her glasses, a nervous habit I'd noticed during parent-teacher conferences. "Your husband stopped by during lunch. He said you'd know what this was about." My stomach dropped. My husband? Colton was here? About an hour ago. He seemed really rushed, said it was urgent and you'd understand. The other teacher, Miss Rodriguez from the kindergarten class next door, carefully placed the car seat next to my window. My hands shook as I reached for the note taped to the handle. Colton's handwriting stared back at me. My friend's kid, 2 days. Emergency. Will explain tonight. See double quote. Inside the car seat, a toddler was deep asleep. Blonde curls spilled over the edges, one small hand clutching a stuffed rabbit that had seen better days. She couldn't have been more than 3 years old. Her breathing was soft and steady, the kind of peaceful sleep that only small children can achieve in the middle of chaos. Did he say anything else? My voice sounded strange, like it was coming from someone else's mouth. Mrs. Hendrick shook her head. Just that it was important, and that you were the only one who could help. He filled out the authorization form at the office for early dismissal from school grounds. Maddox had appeared beside his teacher, his dinosaur backpack dragging on the ground. "Mommy, who's the baby?" "Just someone Daddy's helping," I heard myself say. "Can you climb in your booster seat, buddy?" The weight of other parents' stares pressed against my back as I loaded the car seat into my vehicle. I could feel their curiosity, see tomorrow's playground gossip forming in real time. Jennifer Matthews, queen of the PTA, was already on her phone, probably texting the mom group chat that would blow up within minutes. I tried calling Colton the moment I pulled out of the pickup line. Straight to voicemail. His professional message played in my ear. "You've reached Colton Reeves with Rocky Mountain Development Group. Please leave a message." I called again. Nothing. Then again. The same recording, the same cheerful tone that now sounded like mockery. My texts grew increasingly frantic as I drove home. What's going on? Whose child is this? Colton, I'm scared. Please call me. Call me now. Each message showed delivered but not read. Either his phone was off or he was actively ignoring me. The car seat was expensive, a Nuna brand that cost more than my first car payment. It was well used but impeccably clean, with small dinosaur stickers decorating one side. The irony wasn't lost on me that this stranger's child shared my son's obsession with prehistoric creatures. The pink blanket smelled like lavender laundry detergent, the same brand I used. "Mommy, is the baby sick?" Maddox asked from his booster seat, craning his neck to see the sleeping child. "No, sweetie, she's just tired." "What's her name?" "I don't know yet." "That's weird. How can you take care of someone if you don't know their name?" "Out of the mouths of babes." How indeed. At home, muscle memory kicked in. I carried the car seat inside while Maddox ran ahead to throw his backpack on the floor, our daily battle about hanging it on the hook temporarily forgotten. The toddler didn't stir as I set her carrier on the living room carpet, even when our dog Biscuit came over to investigate with enthusiastic sniffing. I found myself checking the child for signs of illness or injury. Her color was good, pink cheeks and steady breathing. She was wearing quality clothes, a purple shirt with a sparkly unicorn, designer jeans that probably cost more than my entire outfit, tiny Nike sneakers that looked barely worn. Whoever dressed her had money and took care with her appearance. A small backpack was tucked into the bottom of the car seat. Inside, I found a change of clothes, several diapers though she looked potty trained, a sippy cup with what smelled like apple juice, and that worn stuffed rabbit she'd been clutching. No identification, no medical information, no emergency contact card, nothing with a name or address or explanation for why my husband had dropped a random toddler into my life like a grenade with the pin pulled. I set up the portable crib from when Maddox was younger, my hands moving automatically through the familiar motions while my mind raced. Maybe Colton's college friend Derek had an emergency, but Derek lived in Seattle, and we hadn't spoken to him in 2 years. His cousin Tommy from Texas? But Tommy didn't have kids. Last I'd heard, he was still single and traveling for work. Each explanation felt more forced than the last, like trying to squeeze into jeans from high school. The house felt different with this stranger's child in it. The air itself seemed charged with questions I couldn't answer. Maddox had planted himself on the floor near the car seat, fascinated by our tiny visitor, occasionally reaching out to gently touch her shoe as if to confirm she was real. By 5 p.m., Colton still hadn't called. The toddler continued sleeping with the determination of someone who'd missed their nap. I made Maddox his usual after-school snack, apple slices with peanut butter, but couldn't bring myself to eat anything. My stomach was a knot of anxiety that tightened with every passing minute of silence from my husband. By 7 p.m., the toddler stirred. She stretched like a cat, tiny fists rubbing her eyes, then looked around with the disoriented confusion of waking up somewhere unfamiliar. Her eyes were green, the exact shade of Colton's. That distinctive sea glass color he'd always said came from his Irish grandmother. I pushed that thought away immediately. Lots of people have green eyes. She didn't cry, which surprised me. Most toddlers would panic waking up with a stranger, but she just reached for her stuffed rabbit and held it close, studying me with those unnervingly familiar eyes. "Hi, sweetie," I said, keeping my voice soft and friendly. "I'm Brienne. What's your name?" "Scarlett," she said clearly, her voice small but confident. "That's a pretty name. Scarlett what?" "Scarlett Reeves." The room spun. I gripped the edge of the crib to steady myself. Reeves, my married name. The name I'd practiced signing for weeks before our wedding. The name on my driver's license, my credit cards, my son's birth certificate. "Are you Daddy's friend?" she asked, tilting her head in a gesture so perfectly Colton that my chest physically hurt. I couldn't speak. Maddox, oblivious to my shattering world, had crept closer. "I'm Maddox. Do you like dinosaurs? I have lots of dinosaurs. Want to see my T-Rex?" While the children bonded over plastic prehistoric creatures, I stumbled to the kitchen and called Waverly. My hands shook so badly I had to try 3 times to hit her contact. "Hey Bree, what's up?" "I need you here. Now don't ask questions." The urgency in my voice must have been clear because she didn't argue. 20 minutes. I fed Scarlett dinner while my brain operated on autopilot. Mac and cheese, the only thing she'd eat after rejecting the chicken nuggets and carrot sticks I'd offered. She ate properly, using her fork carefully. Someone had taught her good table manners. Maddox chatted with her nonstop, thrilled to have a playmate, showing her every toy within reach. She giggled at his silly faces, a sound that was both beautiful and heartbreaking because it was Colton's laugh in miniature. While the kids watched Bluey in the living room, I searched Colton's home office. I'd never snooped before, never felt the need. Trust had been the foundation of our marriage, or so I'd thought. His desk was organized as always, everything in its place. Real estate contracts, property evaluations, business correspondence, normal, expected. But in the back of the bottom drawer, behind old tax returns, I found it. A credit card statement I'd never seen from an account I didn't know existed. The date was from 3 years ago. My eyes scanned the charges. Preston Pediatrics, Tiny Tots Daycare, Baby World, Bye Bye Baby. All in Millbrook, a town 40 minutes away where Colton had client meetings every Thursday. Every Thursday. The sound of Waverly's key in the front door, the spare I'd given her for emergencies, pulled me from my spiral. She found me sitting on Colton's office floor, surrounded by evidence of a life I knew nothing about. "Bree, you look like you've seen a ghost." "I think Colton has another child." She knelt beside me, her face cycling through the same disbelief I'd felt an hour ago. "That's insane. There has to be an explanation." Her last name is Reeves, Wav. She has his eyes, his exact eyes. Maybe she's a relative's kid? A cousin you don't know about? I showed her the credit card statements, 3 years of charges I'd never seen, pediatrician visits, daycare payments, a toy store in Millbrook that appeared monthly, sometimes weekly. "Oh my God," Waverly whispered. "Oh my God, Bree." She called him Daddy. This 3-year-old I've never seen before asked if I was Daddy's friend. Waverly pulled me into a hug, and I finally let myself cry. Silent tears that felt like they'd been building behind a dam I didn't know existed. When I pulled back, she had her phone out. "What are you doing?" "Looking up family lawyers. My friend Rachel used someone good during her divorce." "I can't think about that right now." "You don't have to think. That's why I'm here. But you need to document everything. Take pictures of those statements. Record anything he says when he gets home." We decided Waverly would stay with the kids in the playroom. I would wait for Colton in the kitchen. Neutral ground. Somewhere I could maintain control, or at least the illusion of it. I printed the credit card statements and laid them on the kitchen island like evidence in a trial. The blue light from the microwave clock marked time. 8:47, 8:48, 8:49. Each minute felt like an hour. I rehearsed what I would say, how I would stay calm, how I wouldn't scream or throw things or fall apart in front of the man who'd apparently been lying to me for 3 years. At 9:15, I texted him one more time. "Scarlett Reeves is at our house. Come home now." This time, the read receipt appeared immediately, then the 3 dots showing he was typing. They appeared and disappeared 3 times before his response came through. "On my way." At 9:47 p.m., Colton's car pulled into the garage. I heard him pause at the door, probably seeing Waverly's car in the driveway. The garage door to the kitchen opened slowly, and when he walked in, his face told me everything before he said a word. Gone was the confident real estate developer who could sell ice to Eskimos. This was a man caught, exposed, defeated. He looked older than when he'd left that morning. His tie was loosened, shirt untucked on one side, hair messed like he'd been running his hands through it. He saw the credit card statement spread across the island and closed his eyes. "Start talking, now." My voice was steadier than I expected. "Is she okay? Is Scarlett okay?" "So you know her name, your daughter's name." He flinched at the word daughter. "Brienne, please let me explain." 3 years, Colton. These statements go back 3 years. Explain that. He pulled out a bar stool and sat down heavily, like his bones had turned to lead. I remained standing. I needed the height advantage, the illusion of power when everything else was crumbling. It was when you were struggling after Maddox was born, he began. You were so deep in the postpartum depression, you barely got out of bed some days. I was trying to handle everything. The house, the baby, my business that was just taking off. So you had an affair. It wasn't supposed to be an affair. It was just supposed to be one night. I was at the gym, the one in Millbrook near the Riverside property. Delaney was there. We got to talking. I was exhausted and scared and felt so alone, Bree. You were there, but you weren't really there. I had postpartum depression, Colton. I had a medical condition. I wasn't on vacation. I know. God, I know. I'm not excusing it. I'm just trying to explain how it happened. Her name is Delaney? Delaney Porter. She's a graphic designer, works from home, lives in Millbrook. And it was just one night? He couldn't meet my eyes. 3 months. It was 3 months. When you started getting better, when the medication started working and you were coming back to us, I ended it. I swear I ended it. But she was pregnant. She didn't tell me until Scarlett was born. 7 months after I'd ended things. She said she didn't want anything from me, just thought I should know. She never asked for money, never threatened to tell you. She just wanted me to know I had a daughter. I thought about all those Thursday client meetings, the late nights at properties that probably didn't exist, the weekend golf games that ran long. But you didn't just know, did you? You've been seeing her. Not romantically, never romantically again, just being a father. Every Thursday? Yes. For 3 years? Yes. You gave our son a sister and never told him. Never told me. You let me live in this house, in this marriage, in this complete lie for 3 years. He finally looked up, and there were tears in his eyes. I'd seen Colton cry exactly twice in our entire relationship, when Maddox was born and when his father died. These tears made me feel nothing. I wanted to tell you so many times, but the longer it went on, the harder it became. And you were finally happy again. We were happy again. I couldn't destroy that. You already had destroyed it. You just let me live in the rubble without knowing it. I love you, Bree. I love our family. Which family, Colton? The one here or the one in Millbrook? He flinched again. This is my family, you and Maddox. You're my life. And Scarlett? What is she? She's my responsibility. My mistake. She's a child, not a mistake. She's your daughter. And when you said we need to talk to a lawyer in that text, you meant about custody, didn't you? Not about some emergency. His silence was answer enough. Where's her mother? Where's Delaney? Her mom in Florida had a stroke yesterday morning. It's bad, really bad. Delaney had no one else to watch Scarlett. She was going to lose her job if she didn't fly out immediately. She called me crying, desperate. I couldn't say no. So you just dropped her at my son's school? Like she was a package to be delivered? I panicked. I couldn't figure out how to tell you over the phone. I thought I'd have time to get home first to explain everything properly. Properly? There's no proper way to tell your wife about your secret child, Colton. Delaney might not come back. The words hung in the air like smoke. Her mom is really sick. She's Delaney's only family. If her mom doesn't make it, Delaney might stay in Florida. She has a job offer there. She might give me full custody. Give you custody? You mean give us custody? You just assumed I'd raise your affair child? She's Maddox's sister. Those 3 words broke something inside me, because he was right. That beautiful little girl watching cartoons with my son was his sister. They shared DNA, family medical history, grandparents. They were siblings who'd been strangers until today. I walked to the doorway of the playroom and looked in. Maddox had fallen asleep on the floor next to Scarlett, his little arm protective around her. She was still awake, sucking her thumb, watching Bluey with heavy eyes. They looked like siblings, because they were. I'll never forgive you for this, I said without turning around. I know, Colton whispered behind me. The next morning, Scarlett woke up asking for Daddy, not Mommy, Daddy. The word cut through the silence of our house like a knife. She ran straight to Colton when she saw him, and watching him comfort her with practiced ease broke something inside me that I knew would never fully heal. He knew exactly how she liked her toast cut. Triangles, not squares. He knew she needed her rabbit to eat breakfast. He knew to warm her milk for exactly 30 seconds. Not too hot, not too cold. 3 years of Thursday knowledge I'd never suspected. I called in sick to work and took Maddox to my mother's house. I told him Scarlett was Daddy's friend's daughter who needed help for a few days. The lie tasted bitter, but the truth would have tasted worse. My mother knew something was wrong the moment she saw my face, but she took Maddox without questions, promising him they'd make cookies and visit the park. Waverly had stayed the night, sleeping on our couch like a guard dog. She'd already researched 3 divorce lawyers and made me an appointment for that afternoon with someone named Patricia Steinberg, who specialized in custody cases involving complex situations. Complex situations. What a clean term for such a messy betrayal. While Colton took Scarlett to get breakfast, I documented everything. Photographed every credit card statement, every receipt I could find, created a timeline of his Thursday lies, found more evidence I'd overlooked, charges for a storage unit in Millbrook that probably held toys and clothes, pediatrician records he'd hidden in his car, a second car seat in the back of his SUV that I'd never noticed because I never had reason to look. 3 days later, Delaney returned. She stood on my doorstep looking nothing like I'd imagined. She was smaller than me, with tired eyes and dark hair pulled into a messy bun. She wore no makeup and looked like she'd aged 10 years in 3 days. Her mother had survived, but would need months of rehabilitation. "I never wanted this," she said before I could speak. "Any of this. I told him to forget we existed, but he didn't." Number. He showed up when Scarlett was 6 months old, said he couldn't stay away, said he had a right to know his daughter. And you let him? Have you ever tried to stop Colton when he's decided something? I knew exactly what she meant. Colton the negotiator. Colton the closer. Colton who could convince anyone of anything, including convincing me for 10 years that we had a perfect marriage. "I'm not the villain here," Delaney continued. "I know you probably hate me, but I never asked him to leave you. I never asked for money. I never asked for anything except that he be consistent for Scarlett. Every Thursday, that's all. 1 day a week where she knew her father." While I knew nothing. He said telling you would destroy his family. He destroyed it anyway, just took the long way around. We stood there, 2 women connected by the man who'd betrayed us both in different ways. She'd believed she was protecting her daughter by accepting scraps of fatherhood. I'd believed I had a faithful husband because I'd never thought to question Thursday afternoons. 6 months have passed since that September day. The divorce was finalized last month. Colton has the kids, both kids, every other weekend. The transition was harder than anyone expected. Scarlett cried for me sometimes, which shattered my heart in ways I didn't expect. She'd started calling me Miss Bree during those 3 days, and somehow it stuck. Maddox adores his sister with the fierce love of a big brother who doesn't fully understand why she doesn't live with us all the time. I moved into a smaller house, a rental closer to my sister. The walls are still mostly bare, but Maddox's artwork covers the refrigerator. There's a picture he drew of our family that includes Scarlett. All of us holding hands under a rainbow. Kids understand forgiveness in ways adults can't. Colton tried to explain himself so many times, how he'd convinced himself he was protecting everyone, how he'd thought he could manage both lives without anyone getting hurt, how he'd loved all of us in his broken way. But love isn't just feeling. Love is choosing truth, even when it's hard. Love is trusting your partner with difficult realities. Love is not building a second life in a town 40 minutes away while your wife is home recovering from postpartum depression. Yesterday at school pickup, Mrs. Hendricks smiled at me sympathetically. The whole town knows now. News travels fast in suburban Denver, especially news this juicy. But as Maddox ran toward my car, backpack bouncing, telling me about his day with breathless excitement, I realized something important. Colton broke our family, but he didn't break me. I'm raising my son to understand that love means truth, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. We talk about feelings now, about honesty, about how secrets can hurt people we care about. He's learning emotional intelligence his father never had. Sometimes the biggest gift someone can give you is showing you exactly who they are, even if it takes a toddler in a car seat to reveal it. The car seat still had those dinosaur stickers when Delaney picked it up. Scarlett had put them there herself, Colton later told me, during one of their Thursday afternoons. 3 years of Thursdays. 3 years of stickers. 3 years of a double life that ended with a note saying, 2 days. It took 2 days to destroy 10 years, but it also took 2 days to set me free. I'm building something new now. Not the life I planned, but maybe the life I needed. One where truth matters more than comfort. Where my son sees his mother choose dignity over devastation. Where even unexpected sisters can find their place in our reimagined family. The toddler who arrived in a car seat that Tuesday taught me that sometimes destruction is just another word for beginning. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever discovered that the person you trusted most was capable of unimaginable deception, know that you're not alone. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that surviving betrayal is possible. Leave a comment about your own experience with starting over, because our stories connect us in ways that silence never could. And subscribe to this channel for more real stories about the moments that shatter us and the strength we find to rebuild. Sometimes the most ordinary Tuesday can become the day that changes everything. Sometimes that's exactly what we need.